Hello, existentialist cat. All right, well, first on the little side note of the time, there actually might be a shortest time unit. I mean, quantum theory proposes that. Um, I had a physics professor. I asked this question when I was taking physics, and he said, yes, there is. And like most physicists, they're really hesitant to say whether it's actually a shortest distance, a shortest amount of time. What it is the Planck time, and it's the amount of time it takes a photon to travel the Planck distance, which is the shortest amount of time that has any relevance in quantum theory. So uh, if quantum theory is just a model, then what it means is that the model breaks down at times shorter than the Planck time. And but if you took it as somehow real, then there is no shortest time. And things jump in and out of existence over this Planck distance and in the Planck time period. But what saves us from losing this feeling of continuity that we intuitively feel things must be like touching in some sense to interact is that there is a conservation of energy. So though the energy can jump from one place to another, a Planck distance or even further, it has to do so. It can't just go in and out of existence. It has to do so in a way such that energy is conserved. And so over a lot of events, you have the emergence of continuity. On the other hand, I guess we have looked in space deep enough that we would see the resolution break. We would see blurry images, basically, if the Planck time, were really the smallest unit of time, and we see better resolution. So that's evidence that maybe there is something else to learn there. And of course, with all science, you always know there's something else to learn. So there may not be a smallest unit of time. It could be, in fact, that the discrete nature of quantum mechanics is just a part of the model, and that underlying there is a continuous structure. And I kind of tend to believe that because the many histories view of quantum mechanics actually reintroduces continuity. There's also, we just see a cross section of the full universe, and that's why things seem particulate, because we're seeing a cross section, but really they're these continuous structures in this higher dimensional space. Now, relative to consciousness and cause and effect, the issue with cause and effect is that people have a crude idea of cause and effect. I think I understand cause and effect a little better than the average, and the aspect I'm going to say in a second about it, but even I feel I have a crude understanding of, or rather I feel even I have a crude understanding of cause and effect, really. It's a very deep thing. We have just this approximate crude version of it. It's better than nothing by a long shot. But the main thing to understand about cause and effect that we all could understand now, I think, is that in an ancient study of natural philosophy is to try to understand cause and effect. And is there just one outcome to a cause, or are there multiple outcomes to a cause? And at first we looked and found, well, really there's one. It's just that often we don't know the determining factor, and so we don't know which it's going to be of these possible ones, but it really is just one possible one based on one set of causes. But when we look into quantum mechanics, a different aspect of quantum mechanics, not the discrete part, but the probabilistic part, we find that really, as far as we know now, in the most fundamental sense, there are multiple possible effects to a single cause. Okay, and if you do millions of these causes, then you're going to see all the effects array out in different proportions. Okay. And living matter is a chemical process which is capturing the freedom aspect, the ability to navigate this probabilistic grouping, intentionally, rather than just randomly. If a stone rolls down a cliff, it just rolls with randomness. As well as the causes involved. The randomness isn't just anything. It doesn't suddenly sprout wings and fly, but it's random when it hits something, and it could go this way or that. Sometimes could go this way, sometimes it could go that. It'll just go one or the other at random. I am able to control my role more. Not totally in control in that scenario. I'm using that scenario specifically because it's a bit out of control. But still, I have more control than the non-living object. And as living objects, we're evolving around this freedom, this ability to navigate, if you want to call it freedom. It's not totally free. If you hit a stone rolling down a hill and you bump into a stone, the fact that maybe you can go that way or maybe you can shift and go the other way doesn't really make knocking yourself on a stone a great thing. You don't have great options, but there are some options, okay? And we're evolving around that. So this is the sense in which we have to take the evidence. On the one hand, I totally 100% agree with you that it's nonsense to think of something uncaused or the cause is metaphysical and somehow disconnected. I mean, it's causing us. It's right here with us. That's true. And I think the will, is sort of one of the causes. Somehow we're able to put a rudder in the water and navigate a little bit what are otherwise, totally uncontrolled events. Uncontrolled in the sense that the will doesn't have an influence. But I have evidence of being able to control myself. So I look for the cause of that, because why would I feel that I have this influence? Even that would be an interesting thing. And of course, if I have no free will, then I have no choice but to look into the question. All right, interesting video. Cheers.